Hey there everyone, and welcome to the channel for another Escape from Tarkov video, this time with a look at some barter trades for armor and armored rigs in Tarkov that you definitely don't want to miss out on. In the last two major patches, Tarkov has added a lot of new body armors to the game, and most of them are very much worth using, with some pretty decent barter trades requiring items that can largely be crafted in your hideout or found pretty easily out in the raid. I would say that barter trades are one of the best ways to get armor currently, at least once you get Ragman level 2 and 3 unlocked, and have your hideout upgraded a decent amount so you can produce the fabrics and other items required for these trades. In this video, I'm going to take a look at some of the more worthwhile barter trades, talk about the armor, its stats, why you might want to use it, and how you can get some of these trade items for these armors using your hideout or by finding them in the raid. I'm not going to cover every single barter for armors in Tarkov, and I'll be specifically focusing on some of the newest items added to Ragman level 3 in the current patch, as I think they're quite interesting. First up, we'll start with Ragman level 2 and the barter trade for the MMAC plate carrier, a fairly compact level 4 armored rig with just enough pouches for 6 mags and a couple grenades. The MMAC is class 4 armor and is made of polyethylene, the most durable and repairable armor material in Tarkov. While it has a fairly low base durability at 40 points, the armor material actually lets it take a lot more of a beating than you might think, and it repairs back to full very well. This armor is pretty lightweight, has reasonable movement penalties, and is one of the better armors you can access at this level once you hit level 17 and unlock Ragman level 2. The barter trade for this armor is pretty simple, but it's not as cheap as it used to be, requiring 1 ripstop fabric, 1 sewing kit, and a bottle of whiskey. Fortunately, the ripstop is easy enough to craft in the hideout at the lavatory. You can buy Slickers bars on the flea market, trade them to Jaeger for scav vest, and then turn those scav vests into 2 ripstop at the lavatory, costing about 15,000 rubles per piece of fabric. Sewing kits are very common to find out in the raid, and whiskey, while a bit rarer, isn't too difficult to find, and it can also be crafted or simply purchased on the market. I would say this armor is a bit expensive if you buy all the trade items, but if you craft the ripstop and find the sewing kit, this barter is really nice when you only have to buy a bottle of whiskey. Aside from the MMAC, you also have trades for the Karasa, AVS, and a few of the Soviet-style armored rigs at Ragman level 2, but honestly most of these are far cheaper to just buy on the market, so I would say the MMAC is the best trade at Ragman level 2. Next up, we move on to Ragman level 3, where the cool stuff from this latest patch is mostly contained, with 3 brand new armored rigs, along with some old classics that are still really good now. First up, for the new armored rigs, we have a pretty cool option with the Tasmanian Tiger SK plate carrier, which gets you a class 6 armored rig in exchange for 2 streamer items, the Bear Buddy and the Loot Lord plushie. This rig is class 6 armor, offering the highest level of protection in the game, but it's also pretty low on durability at 40 points, and because it's made of ceramic, it takes damage very quickly and does not repair very well. In addition, this rig only has 8 total inventory slots, made up of 4 2-slot mag pouches, so you really don't have much space for mags, meds, and grenades. This armor is kind of an extreme one-and-done piece of protection, with some pretty low movement penalties and weight, so you can still move at full speed while wearing it. Honestly, I think it's a pretty cool option, especially for the overall price of around 150,000 rubles for the barter trade, making it one of the cheaper class 6 armors. The advantage of having a class 6 armor can be pretty huge, especially if you're fighting anyone that isn't using top tier AP ammo. This armor has very low overall durability, but the fact is that class 6 protection can let you eat 1 or 2 bullets and win out on a trade, and then you can just steal your enemy's armor and move on with your raid. Next here at Ragman level 3 is the NPP Bagariy armored rig, a fairly heavy class 5 armored rig with lots of storage space that you can trade for 2 alls, 4 fleece fabric, and 4 cordura fabric. This armored rig is in kind of a tricky spot, especially with the current weight changes on our PMCs in the latest patch. It's heavy at 13 kilograms with some intense weight penalties, including a 21% movement speed penalty, meaning you'll be overweight and kind of slow while wearing it. That is kind of offset by the inventory space, which includes 2 4-slot square pouches, which are amazing for storing loot, and it being made of steel armor, which does mean it can be repaired many times and still be useful. The barter trade is quite expensive if you're just looking at the prices of all the pieces on the market, but both the cordura and the fleece fabric can be crafted very cheaply, so with a bit of effort you can easily get this barter trade ready for not much money spent. Overall, I think this rig is worth it if you craft the fabric fabrics, as the class 5 protection is pretty strong, but I would always keep in mind the movement penalties are going to slow you down, so it's maybe best for smaller maps where the speed reduction doesn't hurt you as badly. The third new armor here at Ragman level 3 is the Eclipse RBAV plate carrier, which you can get for a pretty simple trade of 1 military flash drive at Ragman level 3. The Eclipse is only class 4 armor with 45 durability, and it's made of titanium, which overall is one of the better armor materials, having a good balance of durability and repairability. The movement penalties on this armor are fairly modest, but the storage space is a little awkward, having a weird mix of 3-slot mag pouches, a 4-slot square pouch, and several single pockets. Personally, with the price of these flash drives sitting at 115,000 rubles as of making this video, I don't really know if the trade is worth it unless you happen to find one in raid and die with it so you can't list it on the market. That being said, if those prices drop down to even something like 80,000 rubles, I think this armor is quite a nice choice, and I can see either the armor or the barter trade being adjusted a bit to make this trade more worthwhile. This armor is pretty good, but the trade is kind of steep if you buy the flash drive, and to be honest, if you're looking at this thing, I would kind of recommend you check out the Strandhogg plate carrier instead, which is very similar, and I'll talk about that one next. The Strandhogg plate carrier is another new-ish armor added midway in the 12.12 patch, and functionally it is very similar to the Eclipse plate carrier, but it's lighter and slightly less durable overall. The armor is also class 4 with low movement penalties, and it's made of aluminum, which is lightweight but kind of middle of the road in terms of protection. The barter trade for the Strandhogg requires 2 Cordura fabric, 1 sewing kit, and a bottle of vodka. The Cordura can be crafted very cheap, and the vodka can also be crafted, found, or bought for a cheap price, making this barter trade pretty convenient and honestly pretty cheap. The Strandhogg is a pretty solid choice if you're looking for an affordable, lightweight armor with decent storage that you can reliably craft trade materials for. In some ways, the Eclipse is better in terms of protection, but this one's very similar and easier to trade for, so it's a pretty solid choice. Next up here at Ragman level 3 is the ANA M1 armored rig, which you can trade for 1 bottle of Kvass water and 4 aquamaries, getting you a large class 4 rig with tons of space for loot and decent durability points at 65. The armor is steel, so it repairs well, and it's a bit lighter than some other large armored rigs. This barter trade is kind of expensive if you just buy it all out, but you can be cheap about it and drink all of the barter trade items down to 1 point left to level up your metabolism, and then trade them all for this armor to kind of recycle those costs. I've been doing this forever and it works pretty well. Another solid trade is the ANA M2 armored rig, which requires just 3 round frame sunglasses and 3 coal pack visors to trade at Ragman level 3. This armor is also class 4 and is made of titanium, which again is one of the better armor materials overall, so the 60 durability points on this armor can take a bit of a beating. It has decent movement stats and lots of mag pouches, so overall it's quite a solid rig. The barter trade on this one is also really easy. The round glasses can generally be purchased for quite cheap on the market at under 20k, and you can trade chainlets to Ragman to get the coal pack visors, meaning this barter can sometimes be very expensive, even less than 60k total, especially if you remember to pick up chainlets in raid for this purpose. This one is pretty underrated, I think, and well worth trying out for the price tag. Next up, we have the TV-110 plate carrier, a very popular class 4 armored rig that saw a lot of use in the 12.12 patch because of its high durability, massive storage space, and very easy barter trade at Ragman level 3 requiring 4 bleach and 2 shampoo. The TV-110 is class 4, made of steel so it repairs well, and has a high 85 points of durability. However, because it's made of steel, that 85 points is a bit misleading, and it's not that much stronger than even an MAC with its 40 points and better armor material. While the TV-110 is kind of heavy at 10 kilograms, it has low movement penalties and just an absolutely massive amount of storage space for loot, ammo, and grenades. The 3 and 4 slot pouches mean you can store large items and 45 round mags, so it's just great as a way to pile more loot into a good run. Both trade items can also be crafted at the lavatory, making this really an easy trade to get done, which I think is a big reason it's so popular. The last barter here at Ragman level 3 that I think is really kind of clutch is the Gzhel K armor, a lightweight class 5 armor that you can get for 2 gold chains and 3 Majeka coffees. The Gzhel is one of the most affordable ways to get into class 5 armor, and while it's made of ceramic, meaning it breaks really quickly, it's also pretty lightweight compared to other class 5 armor, with good movement penalties and a great price using this barter trade. The Gzhel is kind of similar to the new class 6 armor I talked about at the beginning of this video. It's a good armor to stop 1 or 2 bullets and help you win a clutch trade in a fight, and then you can just ditch this thing in a bush, steal your opponent's armor, get it back through insurance, and then sell it back to Ragman for 70k. You can also unlock a ruble purchase for the Gzhel after completing the supervisor quest for Ragman, so you can get the Gzhel by trading or by purchasing it for about 130,000 rubles. Finally, I can't talk about the Gzhel without mentioning its direct competitor, the Korund, a class 5 armor which you can barter from Prapor level 3 for black diaries, or purchase from Prapor level 4 once you get that far. The Korund is kind of the opposite of the Gzhel. It's heavy and it has high movement penalties, but it actually repairs very well. The Korund is a tricky armor to justify, because while it does weigh you down a lot compared to the Gzhel without offering any better protection, it's also reusable because you can repair it. It's not even necessarily a bad armor, it's just that if you can get a Gzhel, I would recommend using that over the Korund. This armor can be used for more raids in a row because of the good repair, so that's kind of an advantage, but if you want my opinion, I would stick to the Gzhel for my entry level class 5. That basically covers the new armors added to Ragman, at least the ones I've unlocked so far, and a pretty solid roundup of the most worthwhile barter trades for good armor and armored rigs up to the level 3 traders. There's a lot of trades I didn't cover, mostly because they're just massively overpriced compared to others. It's not even that things like the AVS or the A18 and TacTech are bad armors, far from it, they're actually pretty great. The price points for those barter trades are just a bit awkward compared to some of the other ones, so I just don't really like recommending them to people because class 4 armor shouldn't cost 200,000 rubles to access. I hope you find this video helpful, and let me know what you think down in the comments below. Did I miss anything specific? And what are your favorite armors so far in this patch? Thanks for checking out the video. I've got links to my Twitch stream, Discord server, and Patreon page down below for anyone interested. And until next time, stay safe in Tarkov City.